And yet I haven't been able to find any wind farms in China. Did you ever think of that?
So this is obviously completely incorrect. This might come as a surprise to chatters, but he's once again talking out of his ass.
You will pet me, whether you like it or not.
Instead of empowering bureaucrats, we're firing them, and they're going out and getting jobs in the private sector for 2 and 3 times what they were making in government. So they started off hating me when we fired them, and now they love me. Instead of raising taxes on domestic producers, we're lowering them and raising tariffs on foreign nations to pay for the damage that they've caused. In 12 months, we have removed over 270,000 bureaucrats from the federal payrolls, the largest single-year reduction in government employment since the end of World War II. Nobody thought that was coming, but we had no choice. To make a country great, you can't have all federal jobs. We've cut federal spending by $100 billion and slashed the federal budget deficit by 27% in the single year. It's going to go down quite a bit more from that, driving inflation way down from the record highs of the Biden administration. Every month, they went up and up and up. I promised to cut 10 old regulations for every single new regulation, but instead I've cut, actually, till this point, 129 regulations for every 1 new regulation approved. So every time they come in with a new regulation, we do at least 10, but so far it's averaging out to 100.
Yeah, I've sped him up because it's an hour and 32 minutes, and he's yapping. He's yapping like a... Okay?
129, if you can believe it. In July, we passed the largest tax cuts in American history, including no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. We also provided 100% expensing. That's the one they like. And bonus depreciation for all new equipment and capital investments to help companies expand and shift production to America. They are so in love with that. They build a plant, they're able to deduct it immediately, the whole thing, rather than waiting 38 to 41 years in the old days. This is a miracle taking place. Nobody thought it would ever be done by any country, but it's done by us. It was what made my first term the most successful 4-year term that we've ever had from a financial standpoint. And now we've upped it. This is a 10-year program, not a 1-year program, but you're allowed to deduct everything in 1 year. It used to be 38 to 41 years. With tariffs, we've radically reduced our ballooning trade deficit, which was the largest in world history. We were losing more than $1 trillion every single year, and it was just wasted. It was going to waste. But in 1 year, I slashed our monthly trade deficit by a staggering 77%, and all of this with no inflation, something everyone said could not be done. There were a couple of brilliant people that actually thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was doing the right thing. Now they all think I'm doing the right thing because they can't believe the numbers. American exports are now up by more than $150 billion. Domestic steel production is up by 300,000 tons a month, and it's doubling over the next 4 months. It's doubling and tripling, and we have steel plants being built all over the country. Nobody thought they'd see that. Factory construction is up by 41%, and that number is really going to skyrocket right now because that's during a process that they're putting in to get their approvals, and we've given very, very quick, fast approvals. In the process, we've made historic trade deals with partners covering 40% of all U.S. trade. Some of the greatest companies and countries in the world. We have countries as our partner, too. The European nations, Japan, South Korea. They're our partners. They've gone into massive deals with us, especially on oil and gas. And these agreements raise growth and cause stock markets to boom, not only in the U.S., but virtually every country that came to make a deal, because, as you've learned, when the United States goes up, you follow. It's really become a staple. In America, I've stopped the nation-wrecking energy policies that drive up prices while sending jobs and factories to the world's worst polluters. They are indeed polluters. Under sleepy Joe Biden, new domestic oil and gas leases fell by 95%. Think of that. And they wonder, why was gasoline going up so fast? The gasoline actually topped $5 a gallon, in some places $7 a gallon, and more than 100 major power plants were violently shut down by incompetent people that had no idea what the hell they were doing. Under my leadership, U.S. natural gas production is at an all-time high by far. U.S. oil production is up by 730,000 barrels a day, and last week we picked up 50 million barrels from Venezuela alone. Venezuela has been an amazing place for so many years, but then they went bad with their policies. 20 years ago, it was a great country, and now it's got problems, but we're helping them. And
fuck Hasan. That's what your mom said, chatter. Got him. And I did. She fucked me. It was awesome. You're getting DDoS by the inshitification of America, our infrastructure and electronic devices? No, I don't know if it's an ISP problem. I think it's probably an issue on my end. It's a port connectivity problem, because I keep getting notified from my router over and over again that like a port keeps disconnecting and then reconnecting in restoring. Now that could be because the ISP is just like not giving enough juice to my internet, or it could be internally like a hardware issue, because we did reset the router last night after the stream. What is this? That's what it is. You didn't want data centers built. This is what happens when you don't have data centers. Yeah. What do you mean? What? try changing ports. It could be leaked. Wait, what?
Those 50 million barrels, we're going to be splitting up with them, and they'll be making more money than they've made in a long time. Venezuela's going to do fantastically well. We appreciate all of the cooperation we've been giving. We've been giving great cooperation. Once the attack ended, and they said, let's
You
make
probably have UPnP turned on, which lets applications open ports and suck up bandwidth. Ask H&D later to go into your and disable UPnP. I mean, this is a new issue. So I don't know.
deal.
I'll
More
put it
people
in the
should do
mod
that.
chat.
But Venezuela's going to make more money in the next 6 months than they've made in the last 20 years. Every major oil company is coming in with us. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing to see. The leadership of the country has been very good. They've been very, very smart. The price of gasoline is now below $2.50 a gallon in many states, $2.30 a gallon in most states. Then we'll soon be averaging less than $2 a gallon. In many places, it's already down even lower, $1.95 a gallon. Numerous states are at $1.99, numbers that nobody has heard for years. Actually, since my last administration, we got it down to around those numbers. I've signed an order directing and approval of many new nuclear reactors. We're going heavy into nuclear. I was not a big fan because I didn't like the risk, the danger, but they have the progress they've made with nuclear is unbelievable, and the safety progress they've made is incredible. We're very much into the world of nuclear energy, and we can have it now at good prices and very, very safe. And we're leading the world in AI by a lot. We're leading China by a lot. I think President Xi respects what we've done, in part because I've allowed these big companies building these massive buildings to build their own electric capacity. They're building their own power plants, which when added up is more than any country anywhere in the world is doing. I read recently an article in the Wall Street Journal that China's creating so much energy, and they are. I got to hand it to them. But we're creating as much or more, and we're letting them do that. I'm very proud of it. It was my idea. I said, you can't create this much energy. We needed more than double the energy currently in the country just to take care of the AI plants. And I said, we can't do that. We have an old grid system. And I came up with the idea, you people are brilliant. You have a lot of money. Let's see what you can do. You can build your own electric generating plants. And they looked at me. They didn't believe me. All of the names that are, I think, in the room right now, if you want to know the truth, they didn't believe it. And I said, no, you can't. They came back 2 weeks and they didn't have the plant. They said, we thought you were kidding. I said, no, not only am I not kidding, you're going to have your approvals within 2 weeks. I always say nuclear will take 3 weeks. But most aren't going that. They're going oil and gas. They're even going coal in some cases. Because of my landslide election victory, the United States avoided the catastrophic energy collapse which befell every European nation that pursued the Green New Scam, perhaps the greatest hoax in history. The Green New Scam, windmills all over the place.
The reason why he just keeps hitting the renewable energy thing is because China is dominating the rare earth mineral procurement extraction. They have a monopoly on it. Okay, they have a monopoly on the production of rare earth minerals, which are necessary materials for all matter of technology, but certainly on renewable energy, on the renewable energy battery technology. China is obviously dominating on the R&D side. China is dominating on the manufacturing side. It's not just like wind turbines. It's not necessarily just wind turbines that he's like complaining about. It's everything, right? Wind turbines, batteries, solar panels. Virtually, hey, what's going on, man? Virtually every single thing that is a necessity, China dominates on, and that's precisely the reason why America's decided no more of this like woken gay green. We're just going full tilt back into. We're redoubling our efforts in on the side of the fossil fuel industry, even though it's destroying the planet. It does not matter. It doesn't matter if we just melt the table. It doesn't matter if we destroy the table. If we're losing the board game, we might as well kill everybody in the process rather than look forward, rather than try to improve mankind, rather than try to improve our carbon footprint, rather than try to focus on the new method of energy, even though we have all of the power. Kaya, get back over there. Instead of, God, everything is so up right now. I'm all over the place. Anyway, instead of trying to focus on competing with China and trying to build a robust manufacturing base or even cooperating with China, we are deciding to fight back by focusing entirely on oil and gas. Okay, that's it.
Destroy your land. Destroy your land. Every time that goes around, you lose $1,000. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money. Here in Europe, we've seen the fate that the radical left tried to impose on America. They tried very hard. Germany now generates 22% less electricity than it did in 2017. And it's not the current chancellor's fault. He's solving the problem. He's going to do a great job. But what they did before he got there, I guess that's why he got there. And electricity prices are 64% higher. The United Kingdom produces just 1/3 of the total energy from all sources that it did in 1999. Think of that, 1/3. And they're sitting on top of the North Sea, one of the greatest reserves anywhere in the world, but they don't use it. And that's one reason why their energy has reached catastrophically low levels with equally high prices. High prices, very low levels. Think of that, 1/3. And you're sitting on top of the North Sea. And they like to say, well, that's depleted. It's not depleted. It's got 500 years. They haven't even found the oil. The North Sea is incredible. They don't let anybody drill. Environmentally, they don't let them drill. They make it impossible for the oil companies to go. They take 92% of the revenues. So the oil companies say, we can't do it. They came to see me. Is there anything you can do? I want Europe to do great. I want UK to do great. They're sitting on one of the greatest energy sources in the world, and they don't use it. In fact, their electricity prices have soared 139%. There are windmills all over Europe. There are windmills all over the place, and they are losers. One thing I've noticed is that the more windmills a country has, the more money that country loses, and the worse that country is doing. China makes almost all of the windmills, and yet I haven't been able to find any wind farms in China. Did you ever think of that?
So this is obviously completely incorrect. This might come as a surprise to chatters, but he's once again talking out of his ass. Not only is China the leader in manufacturing renewable energy products, but it's also the leader around the globe in renewable energy infrastructure inside of China. Not only do they have of wind turbines, not windmills, right? But they're also experimenting with new ways of developing wind turbines, like this new Zeppelin thing. I don't know if you guys saw this. What is this? How China won the new nuclear energy race? Brother, we're not going to watch a 19-minute video about how China has won the new nuclear energy race. I know you've been trying to get me to watch this over and over and over again for like the past month or so since it came out. But it's completely ridiculous. Photos capture the breathtaking scale of China's wind and solar build out. This is a major wind farm, but it's not just windmills either. It's not just wind turbines either. They're also experimenting with new technology. Like, here's another article. There it is. China's building 2/3 of the world's wind and solar projects. Country on track to reach 1,200 gigawatts of installed wind and solar capacity by end of 2024, 6 years ahead of Beijing's target. Okay? Almost 2/3 of global wind and solar projects under construction are in China. Solar and wind power projects under construction by gigawatts. Okay? So yeah, they are massively ahead. And not only that, but they're now doing this insane thing that I saw that's like, that literally feels like it just feels like something out of Cyberpunk. World's most powerful flying wind turbine launched in Western China. This is a gigantic gliding power bank that could help communities cut off from the grid during blackouts and cement China's leading role in green energy. I don't know how safe this is. When I see Zeppelins, I get fearful, but that is what they are doing. The world's first megawatt class high altitude wind power system for urban use, the S2000 SAWES, has successfully completed a test flight in Yibin, southwest China's Sichuan province on January 5th. After a 30-minute ascent to 2,000 meters, it generated 385 kilowatt hours of electricity and completed grid-connected power generation. 1 hour of operation can generate enough electricity to fully... What are you doing? What's happening over there? You want to go outside? Hold on. You don't mind dogs, right? She's very friendly. Hey, sit. Okay. Oh, damn, she's not even going to you. I don't know where she's going. Okay. No, don't let her out. No, she's, I think she wants to know what they're doing on the router back there. Anyway, here it is. This is what it looks like. It's insane. Okay. 1 hour operation can generate enough electricity to fully charge approximately 30 top spec electric vehicles from zero. It's meant to be rapidly deployed to natural disasters to restore areas, basic power. Yeah. Like when I look at this stuff, I understand how people must have felt when, I understand how the horse buggy and carriage industry must have felt when like cars were being mass produced, right? The assembly line kicks in, there's cars, it's becoming increasingly cheaper or more affordable to own a car. And while that is happening, this new frontier is unfolding in front of your eyes, you're still maintaining the old guard where you're like, no, you don't understand. This is a profitable industry. Horses are much better. Horses are much better than cars, dude. You're so dumb. Don't move into the car stuff. What do you mean an automobile? It's a dangerous thing. It's scary. It's weird. Horses are much less likely to trample you to death. It's just a fad. It'll go away. Let's just focus on horses. And it's interesting because like we are connected to one another more than ever before with the internet, and yet we still have this kind of mentality, and I don't understand it. Like, there's no excuse for it, you know? There is no excuse for it because we know exactly what it looks like. We know that it's better. And in the age of the internet, when you see this kind of idiotic sentiment being expressed by world leaders that are effectively telling everyone, you know, shut the f up, close your eyes, plug your ears, don't listen to reason, don't look over there, just focus on what we have right now over and over again. It just, you know, it's very, very frustrating. And yet the market doesn't react in the way that it's supposed to because there is no rhyme or reason for how the market operates. Here is Howard Butlick saying the quiet part out loud once again.
It is completely different than the WEF. I viewed the WEF as not a flag
I didn't even realize he had such a major lisp, by the way.
pole in the middle, but
From licking Trump's butt so hard, his tongue can't even produce the S sounds any longer.
in fact, they are the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so it blew. You should have solar, you should have wind. Why are you going to do solar and wind? Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries. Why would you do that? Why would the United States of America, which has oil and natural gas, try to convert to all electricity? China does not have oil and natural gas. Electricity and electric
Oh, he was saying WEF, World Economic Forum. I thought he was saying the West.
cars make perfect sense to them. That is practical and logical.
Yeah, that's it. It's not a lisp. He's saying the WEF, as in the World Economic Forum. I've never heard someone say the WEF. Yeah. But look at Davos. Why are you going to do solar and wind? Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they're deciding to be subservient to China. Now, it's really funny to see like the reaction from the panelists, just looking at him with tremendous dismay, looking at him horrified, disgusted. Okay. And the irony here, of course, is they're saying you should be servile to us, not China. Okay. And it goes back to the same principle that I've been talking about over and over again. America literally keeps repeating, it's either my way or the highway. We're not going to manufacture products that you want. We are going to create a protection racket like NATO, and we're going to sell you all these weapons, and we're going to demand that you take an increasingly larger percentage of your GDP and refund it. Take an increasingly larger percentage of your GDP and purchase more of our weapons, right? You can do with those weapons whatever you want. You can give it to Ukraine if you want. You can use it personally if you want, but like you're going to take our weapons, because that's one of the only industries that we have in the country. Another industry that we have in the country is the automotive industry, right? We make automobiles. But the problem is we're not making automobiles for the European market. We're not making automobiles for any other country other than the United States of America. And in the United States of America, we're making those cars ginormous. We're making those vehicles as large as we physically possibly can make them. We're making them gas guzzlers. And these are cars that are so large, both by engine size, both by, just like size-wise, they're just too big for the European roads that like Europeans can't even purchase these cars and use them on their streets. And it doesn't matter. We're forcing that on you. If Donald Trump's major goal here is to fix the trade deficit, right, and improve the American automobile manufacturing, there's two ways out of it. You can either make cost-effective, competitive products that people actually want to purchase in the same way that China has done, or you are by force purchasing these vehicles. I don't give a shit what you do with the fleets. I don't give a shit if you actually sell it on your roads or not. You just need to buy it from us, right? So that's it. That's what we're doing here with the energy situation as well. We keep telling Europe over and over again, no, you don't understand. Do not move in the renewable sector, because every move that you make, every initiative that you take that is focusing on renewables, improving your electricity grid, trying to make sure that your electricity grid is powered by renewable energies is actually beneficial to China. You must keep petrodollar on top, even if it's killing you. Even if it's killing the planet, it doesn't matter. That is woke and gay. Do not actually move towards renewables. What is this? There is no replacement for displacement. Davos building evacuated? Well, I don't know where that, I don't know what's going on there, but I'm actually going to have my guest here in a brief moment, and we're gonna be talking to his MAGA parents from the Necessary Conversation Pod, and we'll be doing that for the next hour, and then I'll be going back to Davos, and as a matter of fact, I'll be asking his MAGA parents about Davos as well. How do you feel about base tanky Macron? None of those guys are based, nor are they real tankies. They're just saying the quiet part out loud, but they're not going to do shit about it, as evidenced by the fact that Donald Trump turned around and said, "Oh, I fixed it," and now everyone is saying, "Yeah, it's fixed." Oh my God! I just saw the way that this is standing on this podium. Oh my God! This angle is not very favorable.
It's a good way of looking at it. They're smart. China's very smart. They make them. They sell them
But actually, you know what? I do want to hear this
for a
part.
fortune. They sell them to the stupid
But I'm
people
going to
that buy
pee real
them.
quick.
But they don't use them themselves. They put up a couple of big wind farms, but they don't use them. They just put them up to show people what they could look like. They don't spin. They don't do anything. They use a thing called coal mostly. But China goes with the coal. They go with oil and gas. They're starting to look at nuclear a little bit. And they're doing just fine. They make a fortune selling the windmills, though. And I think really that's one that they wouldn't be surprised if it stopped. They're shocked that it continues to go. They're very friendly with me. They're shocked that people continue to buy those damn things. They killed the birds. They ruin your landscapes. Other than that, I think they're fabulous, by the way. Stupid people buy them. The consequences of such destructive policies have been stark, including lower economic growth, lower standards of living, lower birth rates, more socially disruptive migration, more vulnerability to hostile foreign adversaries, and much, much smaller militaries. The United States cares greatly about the people of Europe. We really do. I mean, look, I am derived from Europe, Scotland and Germany, 100% Scotland, my mother, 100% German, my father. And we believe deeply in the bonds we share with Europe as a civilization. I want to see it do great. That's why issues like energy, trade, immigration, and economic growth must be central concerns to anyone who wants to see a strong and united West, because Europe and those countries have to do their thing. They have to get out of the culture that they've created over the last 10 years. It's horrible what they're doing to themselves. They're destroying themselves. It's beautiful, beautiful places. We want strong allies, not seriously weakened ones. We want Europe to be strong. Ultimately, these are matters of national security, and perhaps no current issue makes the situation more clear than what's currently going on with Greenland. Would you like me to say a few words of Greenland? I was going to leave it out of the speech, but I think I would have been reviewed very negatively. I have tremendous respect for both the people of Greenland and the people of Denmark, tremendous respect. But every NATO ally has an obligation to be able to defend their own territory. And the fact is, no nation or group of nations is in any position to be able to secure Greenland other than the United States. We're a great power, much greater than people even understand. I think they found that out 2 weeks ago in Venezuela. We saw this in World War II, when Denmark fell to Germany after just 6 hours of fighting and was totally unable to defend either itself or Greenland. So the United States was then compelled, we did it, we felt an obligation to do it, to send our own forces to hold the Greenland territory. And hold it we did, at great cost and expense. They didn't have a chance of getting on it, and they tried. Denmark knows that. We literally set up bases on Greenland for Denmark. We fought for Denmark. We weren't fighting for anyone else. We were fighting to save it for Denmark. Big, beautiful piece of ice. It's hard to call it land. It's a big piece of ice. But we saved Greenland and successfully prevented our enemies from gaining a foothold in our hemisphere. So we did it for ourselves also. And then after the war, which we won.
Can you talk to my parents, tool them out? Okay. The reason why I did this is so that you can also, your takeaway should be trying to emulate the way I talk to your parents and try to talk to your parents all the same. Okay? That's the reason why I do stuff like this. It's not about catching them in easy dunks. It's about finding areas of agreement. And it's like, it's more of a politician style approach to the conversation, or rather, that's what a good politician would do. It's people, it's understanding that we have shared values and wanting to do what's best instead of engaging in like quick dunks in general that only work to harden their position. Okay, you can't get heated though, like you did, Hasan. You have to stay level-headed. I got heated. What are you saying? You're telling chat not to get heated? Talking to a regular Trump supporter is very different than talking to a commentary person, right? Talking to a regular Trump supporter, like your parents or a coworker, is very different than talking to a Charlie Kirk style figure.
We won it big. Without us, right now, you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps. After the war, we gave Greenland back to
This
Denmark.
was really funny. Without us, you'd be speaking a little Japanese and a little German. Bro, you're in Switzerland. The do you mean?
How stupid were we to do that? But we did it. But we gave it back. But how ungrateful are they now? So now our country and the world face much greater risks than it did ever before because of missiles, because of nuclear, because of weapons of warfare that I can't even talk about. 2 weeks ago, they saw weapons that nobody ever heard of. They weren't able to fire one shot at us. They said, what happened? Everything was discombobulated. They said, we
Weapons that they've never even heard of.
got them in our sights, pressed the trigger, and nothing happened. No anti-aircraft missiles went up. There was one that went up about 30 feet and crashed down right next to the people that sent it. They said, what the hell is going on? Those defensive systems were made by Russia and by China. So they're going to go back to the drawing boards, I guess. Greenland is a vast, almost entirely uninhabited and undeveloped territory. It's sitting undefended in a key strategic location between the United States, Russia, and China. That's exactly where it is, right smack in the middle. Wasn't important nearly when we gave it back. When we gave it back, it wasn't the same as it is now. It's not important for any other reason, everyone talks about the minerals. There's so many places. There's no rare earth. No such thing as rare earth. There's rare processing. But there's so much rare earth. And just to get to this rare earth, you got to go through hundreds of feet of ice. That's not the reason we need it. We need it for strategic national security and international security. This enormous unsecured island is actually part of North America, on the northern frontier of the Western Hemisphere. That's our territory. It is therefore a core national security interest of the United States of America. And in fact, it's been our policy for hundreds of years to prevent outside threats from entering our hemisphere. And we've done it very successfully. We've never been stronger than we are now. That's why American presidents have sought to purchase Greenland for nearly 2 centuries. For 2 centuries, they've been trying to do it. They should have kept it after World War II, but they had a different president. That's all right. People think differently. Much more necessary now than it was at that time, however. In 2019, Denmark said that they would spend over $200 million to strengthen Greenland's defenses. But as you know, they spent less than 1% of that amount. 1%. There's no sign of Denmark there. And I say that with great respect for Denmark, whose people I love, whose leaders are very good. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that...
Asmund is saying you dog whistle about killing right-wingers right now. I don't give a what Asmongold says, brother. Maybe he's scared. He's scared that all of his last commentary, like his latest round of commentary on, straight up killing protesters and stuff has caused them worry that he might get banned. So now he's trying to present it as like, I'm consistently saying we should kill right-wingers or something.
It's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States, just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have. They've acquired. There's nothing wrong with it. Many of them, some went in reverse, actually. If you look, some had great, vast wealth, great, vast lands all over the world. They went in reverse. They stuck back.
Yeah, Asmongold can't justify the Greenland stuff, so he has to turn around and remind people like, you hate Hasan, right? Hey, remember our enemy, our shared enemy, Hasan. He's our shared enemy.
Where they started, that happens too. But some grow. But this would not be a threat to NATO. This would greatly enhance the security of the entire alliance, the NATO alliance. The United States is treated very unfairly by NATO. I want to tell you that. And when you think about it, nobody can dispute it. We give so much and we get so little in return. And I've been a critic of NATO for many years. And yet I've done more to help NATO than any other president by far, than any other person. You wouldn't have NATO if I didn't get involved in my first term. The war with Ukraine is an example. We are thousands of miles away, separated by a giant ocean. It's a war that should have never started, and it wouldn't have started if the 2020 U.S. presidential election weren't rigged. It was a rigged election. Everybody now knows that. They found out. People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It was a rigged election. You can't have rigged elections. You need strong borders, strong elections, and ideally a good press. I always say it. Strong borders, strong elections, free, fair elections, and a fair media. The media is terrible. It's very crooked. It's very biased, terrible. But someday it'll straighten out because it's losing all credibility. Think of it. When I went in a landslide, a giant landslide, won all 7 swing states, won the popular vote, won everything, and they only get negative press. That means that it has no credibility. And if they're going to get credibility, they're going to have to be fair. So you need a fair press. But you also need those other elements. And I inherited a terrible, terrible situation. If you look, the border was open. The inflation was raging. Everything was bad with the United States when I came into office. But I also inherited a mess with Ukraine and Russia, something that would have never happened. And I know Putin very well. He and I would discuss Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye, but he wasn't going to do anything. I said, Vladimir, you're not doing it. He would never have done it. It was terrible what happened. I could see it happening, too. After I left, I could see it happening. Biden had given Ukraine and NATO $350 billion, a staggering sum, $350 billion. I came in, and just like the southern border, just like inflation, just like our economy, I said, wow, this place is in trouble, meaning our country. All of these things were out of control, but the border was out of control. We fixed it, the strongest border anywhere in the world. And I've now been working on this war for 1 year, during which time I settled 8 other wars. India, Pakistan, I settled other wars that were, Vladimir Putin called me, Armenia, Azerbaijan. He said, I can't believe you settled that one. They were going on for 35 years. I settled it in 1 day. And President Putin called me. He said, you know, I can't believe I worked on that war for 10 years trying to settle it. I couldn't do it. I said, do me a favor, focus on settling your war. Don't worry about that one.
All right, boring. 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 All right, I'm moving on from this.
You will pet me, whether you like it or not. Whether you like it or not.